Okay, let's do a top 5 video. This is the top 5 cents. So before I continue, if you're interested in winning a set that costs $600, and I paid for it myself with very, very slight discount, I think 80 bucks, the Night Oblivion Bootaster, which is right there and it's on today's list because it is a very good set. Comment below this video. You got to be a subscriber, I can confirm, and like the video if you genuinely like it. Border should be up. Monarch Mark III, I'm going to put as the first one. So this is my favorite since June of this year. So June, July, and August, the past 3 months, basically a quarter of the year. These, not instead of the previous list, but in addition to, and I'll do a list at the end of the year for my favorite 5. So the Monarch Mark III, the best of the Monarchs for my library, in my opinion. The number 2 would be the Singularity by Nightjar Acoustic. It's a single DD. It's quite expensive, but it sounds absolutely brilliant. If the zombie apocalypse was upon us, or I had to be on a desert island with some kind of a power source so that I could power my DAP, and I had to pick one set, it would be the Singularity because of DD. I'm old school, I guess, in that way. I love that set. Number 3 would be the Supernova by 7th Acoustic. This is a really, really good set that took me completely by surprise. It's all balanced armature. Super Views and a couple other people kind of talking about it very positively. I wanted to check it out. Turns out that the hype was maybe understated, kind of. Be aware that there's a long waiting list for this set as of right now, so there's that to consider. Next on this would be the set that's very similar to it. It's also all balanced armature. The Supernova, I think, is 6, and the Night Oblivion is 10. And it's got Sonian in the bass, and beyond that is Knowles. I think 4 of the 6 and Supernova are Sonians, and then the treble is Knowles only, so there's a slight difference. If I had to pick one or the other, I already said that the Supernova is slightly above this, but they're very close, and if you don't want to wait a long time, like October, November, the Oblivion would be something, because you like BA bass, and it sounds a little bit faster, and it doesn't get in the way. It's a preference thing. That would be something to consider if you don't want to wait for the Supernova. Beyond that would be the Thea Audio Hype 2, which is really kind of a compressed in its price and number of drivers Monarch. It's like a mini Monarch Mark II. It's got about the same exact bass all the way about, I think, to 1 kilohertz, and then the treble's slightly different, but it's $299. It's got some thump to it. It's got 2 dynamic drivers and an ISO configuration. It sounds really nice. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Add one more to that. I'm going to add the 7 hertz Sonus, I think it's called. I had a little issue with mine that I worked out, and my review is not a hype. I guess it's better that I didn't do that, but I enjoy that set more than I alluded to in my own video, which is, maybe I'll do another one. So that would be that. Looking at the bottom left, if I were to take 2 sets or more for each genre below, for hip-hop I would go with the Singularity. For obvious reasons, if you've seen the graph, it's got a lot of bass. The Hype 2, which is like the Monarch Mark III, but it's got more slam. I believe both of them have 2 dynamic drivers. For some reason, the Hype 2 just seems to step out a little bit more for me. It's got more slam to it. So I would take those 2. Reggae is going to be the same because there's not a lot of there's a lot of substantial low end, so I would go for the same 2 in reggae. Rock and roll, I'd take the Singularity with I would exclude female centric music because the lift isn't ideal for that, but most of my library is male vocals, so I would take it for rock. I'd also take the Monarch MK3. It's a total beast. And then I would take the mini MK3, which would be the Hype 2 for rock and roll. I could also take the Oblivion and the Supernova for rock and roll. There might be times where I would wish for a little bit more impact, but the Supernova actually, yeah, those 2 sets could be considered for rock and roll. For classical music, I would go with the MK3 would go in there, the Oblivion, Night Oblivion, and the 7th Acoustic Supernova. I would take that. I could also use the budget 7 hertz, not budget, but it's like $59 or $69 for that set. If I do a budget video, which I'm going to do, this might go into that as well. That would do well for classical too because it's got a very clean replay. Tech rankings, I'll start with the lowest, which would be the 7th hertz. Above that would be the Hype 2. Above that would be the Singularity. Above that would be the Oblivion. Above that would be the Supernova, and the final one would be the MK3. I think has the best res. The Singularity is lower on this list because of the bass. When you lift it up that much and you're pulling up the mid bass along, it's like a rubber band and you just stretch it up, you're going to lift up the fundamentals of stuff. It's very clean. It sounds great. I like it, but its impact on other things is audible because of its tuning. So if we're just going to talk about tech and precision, there's a difference between things like Monarch Mark II variations and sets that have elevated bass. So it would be that. But again, Apocalypse, Zombies, Desert Island with some kind of power source, which again, very weird. I would take that set over there, the Singularity, because it's just, I love it. It's musical. Makes me feel like I'm at a concert. I dig it a lot. So that's the list. This is for basically to the end of August. So the next one would be for September, October, November. Maybe the next one's going to be for the whole year, or there might be one more in addition. And I'll do a top 5 for budget sets or whatever you request below. So these are all good sets. If you want to win the Oblivion, I'm going to do a standalone review for it, and then probably in that video, or when that drops, I'll go ahead and do a giveaway for this set. So, and I'm out.